Rackhee Trust. She will be talking about epigenetics, decoded environmental factors, and their influence on the genetic development of the fetus. Rackhee Trust is a mother of two home-birthed children, an author, poet, oracle, intuitive healer, ritualist, and teacher of mystical arts. With a decade of experience in energy medicine and subconscious reprogramming, her course and programs have resulted in over 10,000 individuals realizing their dreams. Wow. Rackhee, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. And it's such an honor to be with such awakened birthing experts. I'm truly delighted to be speaking after Vanessa and Barbara. Prayer, surrender, and ritual are such an important aspect of all the work that I do with birthing. There is nothing that can replace being connected within. There is no other way to give birth. I think, like Vanessa said, when a baby comes into the body, the baby has to come out. There's no other way for the baby but to come out. And unfortunately, there's so much sort of fear psychosis around this most beautiful, most natural process of, conceiving, being pregnant, holding that baby in your sacred vessel in the womb and giving birth. My prayer is for women to get back in touch with their inner power. We are a powerhouse of Shakti, as we call it in India. There's no other word that can replace Shakti. And that Shakti is what delivers the baby. So, the way I look at it is you're an empty vessel and you channel source, through the crown of your head. And it's that source energy that just flows through you and floods you to give birth to your baby. And you're rebirthed and you're reborn and your baby is born. And, like Vanessa put it so beautifully and gave us such a beautiful experience of the initiation. You're initiated, into motherhood. You're initiated into the goddess that we are. It's our birthright to experience that goddesshood. Those of us who've had babies or who have the good fortune to have a baby know that the power that you get in touch with to hold that baby for close to 40 weeks within you and then deliver that baby is something there's no other experience that's close enough to it. So thank you. I'm so honored to have had the both of you set this morning's tone. Sorry, I'm from India and it's morning here. So I'm a self-mastery coach, and I gave birth to both my babies at home. My daughter, my second child, was born during COVID at home. And it's been my prayer and my passion to bring the experience of the kind of sacredness and power that I experienced during my pregnancies to other women all over the world. So I hope that I can bring back the sacred into birthing for everyone that wants to experience it. My journey of having both my babies was a very guided and inspired one. I've often noticed that there's so many different reasons why women or couples want to have children. Sometimes it's your age, sometimes it's your stage in your marriage, sometimes it's society, and there's so many pressures that lead us to want to have a child. And what if we just flipped it and looked at it from the point of view of when the baby's ready, when the baby wants to come to you? And what if we could connect with the soul and we could connect with the baby and bring that baby into us? in that moment of connection. A year prior to giving birth to my son, my firstborn, I had a booking of about 24 womb blessings over a period of 1 week. It was an intensive 1 week where I was giving about 3 or 4 womb blessings per day. So I was completely sort of consumed by, the energies of birthing and the sacred space of the womb and the goddess. And it was during this time, I think around maybe day 4 or 5, it was like being in this, hotbed of Shakti-filled, womb energy. And I was completely overcome by this deep desire to have a baby. I had not been, planning to have a baby. There was absolutely no desire up until that moment. And I had an experience, a very tangible experience of my son. And he came to me saying, I'm ready to come and I will be with you in Italy. And I will be born on the 26th of August next year. And I hadn't, even processed any of this or done any of the math. My husband then and I had planned a trip to Italy at the end of this year, at the end of the same year. And when I look back, I realize the power of the soul that wants to come in is so tremendous, because that is exactly how it happened. I conceived in Italy. My son was born a day after he mentioned. He said 26th of August, and he was born on the 27th of August. My entire pregnancy became a journey of unlearning and reconditioning myself to be able to listen to my son, to be able to hear his voice through me. I'm reminded of a beautiful poem written by a very famous Maharashtrian poet saint in India. His name is Tukaram Maharaj. He is a 17th century poet saint, and he wrote, and I'm paraphrasing here and translating, of course, he wrote in Marathi, but I'm paraphrasing, and he said, the child's desires are reflected, the child's cravings are reflected through the mother, and they become her desires. I mean, this is the wisdom that has existed, with us for, centuries. And the realization I had as I was sort of contemplating this verse is that a mother is like a mirror. Your womb is like a mirror. And when we hold a baby inside us, the only way for us to really connect with the baby, to really have us listening with all our inner and outer senses to the baby, is to be a squeaky clean mirror. If you have a mirror that is, I have this glass of water here, and, it can be smudged with all my conditioning and everything that, I've experienced in life, my trauma, my struggles, my beliefs, my mother's experiences, and all of what I've heard and felt in life. And, it's completely smudgy and it's a complete mess. And imagine having a baby inside this. And your baby is looking at themselves through these lenses because they're inside you. And all they can see is the smudgings and the writings of your life and your experiences. And all I'm saying is that the only way for us to truly be a sacred vessel is to unlearn all of this and become that squeaky clean vessel, that mirror, where the baby can truly see its own reflection, its own purity. That requires the mother to do all the inner work, to take away all of that inner writing, to take away all those limiting beliefs, to take away all the past trauma, to take away all of what we've learned through society and through conditioning and through education and family and all of that and expectations. So what is, epigenetics but the study of how all of our surroundings, our inner and outer surroundings, and how that impacts the genetics and the imprint of the genes, or how the genes are expressed in the body. So for me, this is really epigenetics, very, very simply. When I was pregnant with my babies, with all the sort of inner work that I was able to do pre-pregnancy and during my pregnancy, I found that I was very naturally able to connect with what they wanted and be the vessel and the instrument to bring them into this world. My son showed me that he wanted to be born at home, and he wanted it to be a sacred ceremony. I was connected with dolphins throughout my pregnancy with him. Everywhere I went, I would see a dolphin. Everywhere I went, I would experience the energies of a dolphin. I'd switch on YouTube and there'd be dolphin sounds playing. And at 10 days before I delivered my son, I had the most profound experience. As I was sitting on a birthing ball, and I was told by my doula and my midwife to sit on a birthing ball to help me work with the waves. We call the contractions waves because they're mesmerizing waves that, they're powerful waves that gush into the womb to help the baby be birthed, to bring the baby earthside. So I'd sit on this birthing ball, and I had this most profound experience where I was overcome by, by so many emotions. And I experienced being in the ocean surrounded by 3 dolphins. And they were prodding at my belly. And there was this whole conversation that took place between my baby inside my womb and these dolphins on the outside. And he was trying to bid farewell to his family, to his grandmother and his mother. And he said, I don't want to go. And I had this experience of the baby's soul, entering my belly, preparing for birth. But he was so conflicted that he had chosen a human birth, but he had been a dolphin before. And I was overcome with emotion, and I was, sobbing because I could feel all of what he was feeling. In that moment, I truly realized that, I don't know if I was me or I was him, or he was me or he was him. We were just one. And all I had to do was to show him this oneness, to show him this love, to show him that this is the most beautiful place he's chosen to be, and that it's all going to be great. At 32 weeks, though, my cervix had dilated because he had engaged. And the doctor said, you won't be able to have a home birth. You will probably have to have a hospital birth. And I was devastated, momentarily, only to realize that I have all the tools it takes, or it's going to take, to really keep my baby inside and have the kind of birth that he wants. My first step was to surrender, to work on surrendering the attachment that I had to the outcome of my pregnancy. I wanted to give birth to this baby the way he had shown me. And I was so attached to it that it took a lot of work to just surrender and say, all I want is a healthy baby and a healthy pregnancy, or a healthy birthing. And I'm okay with however that happens. The surrender sort of led me to a space where I could truly empower myself, use the tools to come back into my own power, to say, now I know I can keep this baby within me for as long as I need to. And we worked together, and I worked with my baby to say, you have to stay until 40 weeks. And I showed him how it was healthy for him to be there. And every week, my doctor would come and check on me, and she'd say, if you don't get up to 36 weeks, we're going to have to take you into the hospital. And she'd come and see me every week, and she'd say, wow, you're doing great. Baby's doing great, and you're doing great. And we went up to 39 weeks and 4 days. And we were absolutely fine. And the first thing I learned about my son was that he's highly intuitive and he's super obedient. So he, heard me, and he stayed within, and we had the most exquisite celebration, giving birth to him. I was in labor for 18 hours. But it was the most beautiful experience. Like I think Vanessa shared, there was no pain. You come into your power so much that you don't need to experience pain. Pain is so contracted. Pain is so fearful. And when you come into fearlessness and you come into your own inner power, there's no room for pain. There are waves, waves in the ocean. It's like when I train my mamas who come to me in my training called Womb to World, interestingly, Vanessa's title. I love the interconnectedness. I train them to say these waves, they're so divine, they're here to just gently kind of bring your baby earthside through the birth canal. And working through that, you realize that, you have these 9 months to just completely uncondition yourself from, all of what you've heard and seen and felt and, experienced before. And I mean, it's the most powerful time to undo all of that which is not serving us anymore. And it's truly empowering. We often forget that we have an unwritten contract with our babies to give them the best of everything, to give them the best of our home, our life, our finances, our health, and we focus only on that, where our focus is, so much on the physical, that we forget that what does it really mean to give the best of me? And what if giving the best of me really means creating a sacred womb space, which is going to be their home for the first 40 weeks of their life? What do I need to do to give them that sacred womb space? And all it's going to take is cleaning up everything that isn't serving me so that it doesn't do a disservice to my child. So my invitation to everyone listening, everyone watching, everyone wanting to bring the sacred back into birthing is to be courageous, is to come back into their power, is to choose yourself, to say, this is an opportunity for me to get in touch with my own divinity and give that divine space to my baby. I met my daughter when I was 15 years old. She came to me in a vision and said she was ready for me. And I was a 15-year-old girl. I've seen her all through my life. And when it was time to have her, she reintroduced herself to me and she said she was ready to come. She said she was from an angelic realm. Today, as a 4-year-old, when I ask her silly things. I ask her, why are you so cute? Or why are you so sweet? Or why are you so polite? And she says, because angels made me. That's how connected children are. It's like, I think Barbara was saying about, her craniosacral sessions, and they're so powerful. The baby is really the boss. The baby is going to guide us to everything that they need. All we need to do is connect with them, to listen to them. And I feel like there's so much white noise inside us. The white noise inside us is all the conditioning and everything that we've been experiencing in life. And it creates so much dissonance inside that there's no way to hear your own inner voice, let alone the voice of a soul, of a tiny little baby, of a fetus inside you. So today, fortunately, science is beginning to see and study the impact of our environment on our genetic makeup, on how the genes express themselves in the body, how it impacts us not only at a physical level, not only at a cellular level or a genetic level, but at the level of the choices we make in our life, the kind of life that we have, the experiences that we have, the decisions that we make, all of that is impacted by this. And so, take a moment to reflect on where does that even come from? When I was in my mother's womb, I was already carrying the eggs that would one day become my daughter and my son. And all of what I went through when I was in utero, or all of what my mother went through, has gone on to have its own imprints and impact on me and my children. So what if, you as the grandmother who will be, did all the work you could to just unclutter and get rid of all the white noise inside, what a service we would do to the generations to come. So this is truly an invitation for us to make a change, one baby at a time, at a global level, for all the future generations to come. Today, we have so many tools to rewire the subconscious. Often we view our childhood experiences as either something that is not as significant, or something that was viewed as a child and is not important to the adult anymore. What if we could really embrace all of what we experienced as a child that was traumatic to us as a child, but may not be even significant to us as an adult? What if we could just give it love and acceptance? We really allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to face our wounds, to face our disempowering thoughts and beliefs, to turn them into something empowering, and find our way to come back into our most powerful version of ourselves. So I invite you to take charge of your inner environment. Together, let's influence the genetic makeup of our future generations, one woman at a time. Let's bring the sacred back into birthing. Please feel free to get in touch with me for any questions or to hear more about my story. Thank you, much love, and wishing you a blessed journey ahead. Thank you so much for having me.